There's a saying that on the campaign trail, you wear out the soles of your shoes. Good morning, ladies and gents. Many of you know me already. I'm Johnathan K Kass, and I'm here to do what needs to be done. I've been walking the streets of Algester. I've been meeting the people. I've seen firsthand the closures brought about by the Newman cuts. Well, someone has to make a change, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this because when I was a kid, my mum struggled. A single parent raising 2 kids, she worked as a nurse to make ends meet. We got by with the barest of essentials. Some days we didn't know if we were going to make rent, let alone have food on the table. I knew I had to do something so that I could at least take care of myself, so that my mum and my sister didn't have to struggle. So I found work while I stayed at school so I could help out where I could. And during my university years, I found a place in a construction company and eventually met the woman who would be my wife. I graduated with a Master's of Business. I became a manager, an executive, and eventually CEO. I felt like I had made it, like my now growing family's future was secure. But I could never forget the struggle. And when I look around Algester and the rest of Queensland, I couldn't help but see so many struggles, so much like my own. And I knew I could do more. That's why I joined Labor, because the government should do all it can to help the people it represents. Not just the top of the town. Labor is the people's party. The party of workers, families, and infrastructure. That is why Labor supports the Gonski solution. That is why Labor is the people's party. That is why we support infrastructure like the National Broadband Network, Gonski, to give our kids a fair go. That is why Queensland Labor wants to restore funding to healthcare, areas such as preventative health, which have been cut, which not only save money in the long term, but human lives. I'm running for office because I want to act for the 51,334 people of Algester, men and women just like you, hard workers, for all of Queensland and for Australia. You've already seen me out in the public, and you know that I care. You know that I won't stand for the decimation of our infrastructure, that I won't make false promises, and that I will do what needs to be done. This isn't about the politics of pettiness or scoring points. It's about doing the right thing about yourself and for each other. About acting right and not just talking about the right thing. That's what it means to vote Labor. But more so, that's why it's so important to vote next Saturday. To have your voice heard, regardless of who you vote for. If you stand up for what you believe in, then I would be proud to represent you. Thank you. Questions from the press?
What are your comments on perhaps John Paul Langbroke's admission of guilt, or I guess admitting that he's going to close, I think, 55 schools statewide?
Well, it's a question of the nature of the schools. Again, Labor is in full support of the Gonski reforms. I'm sure you're well aware of that. And it's a matter of consolidating resources and putting the money where it can do the most good and giving our kids a fair go.
How will you react? There's talk of a national teacher and student strike on the Gonski, tertiary education cuts in a few weeks to come, and the NETU in Queensland is going to have quite a strong presence there, I believe. So, what's your reaction going to be to this?
It's funny, I actually have some of the leaflets. Look, I'm actually glad that's happening. We're a free country, and more than anything, I want people to have their voices heard. Now, there's been a bit of misunderstanding with the nature of the cuts. I mean, people say that it's an education cut, but really it's a reallocation of funds. And this 2.3 billion is going on in the backdrop of over 50% increase in university funding since they were coming to power in 2007.